The Gary Goodridge and Devon Larratt podcast started with Devon claiming that the super heavyweight world title is out of reach for him. He tried defeating Levan Saginashvili twice. He tried climbing the mountain to become the number one arm wrestler in the world 2 times, but both times he failed. So now there is no point in having a third attempt just because there are better options available out there, such as the 105 kg and also the 115 kg world title. For me, for now, I would rather be number 1 at 105 than number 2 at super heavyweight. So this shows that Devon's clear intentions are to stay in the 105 kg category and also arm wrestle sometimes in the 115 kg category. But there are 2 other major forces which will try to attract Devon towards the super heavyweight arm wrestling of the world. Number 1 is the promoters such as Engin Terzi and Core Sports and King of the Table, and number 2 are the fans. They also want to see Devon against Gennady Quickvinia, against Vitaly Lalitin, Artem Morozov, Hermes Gasparini rematch, Jerry Cadret. So eventually, no matter what Devon wants, I know I have said that Devon can and he will do whatever the hell he wants to do, but in this case, the combined forces of the fans and the promoters will force Devon to do what he may not completely enjoy doing, not as much as being the dominant undefeated 105 kg or 115 kg world champion. I don't think I'm done yet. I wanna arm wrestle for a long time. A lot of my future is going to change as I head into the categories now. So far, we have just seen a glimpse of Devon at 105. He wasn't fully prepared and he wasn't competing against a 105 kg guy. So we kind of did see Devon compete at that weight, but not truly, not in an organized fashion. Devon was asked to give his opinion about the strongest non-arm wrestling athlete that he has ever faced. Hafthor Bjornsson, Shaquille O'Neal or Brian Shaw. And he spoke a lot about Shaquille O'Neal. In the beginning, Devon said that it has to be between Shaq and Brian Shaw. Maybe it's because Brian is currently getting into the sport. He needs this extra motivation to continue or to get even further motivated about arm wrestling. That's why Devon took his name. But judging by the words that Devon was speaking, it clearly looked like that he meant to say Shaquille O'Neal. He said that his genetic potential for strength and for arm wrestling and for every possible sport in the world is absolutely terrifying. And then the juicy topic. Role of PEDs in sports and especially in arm wrestling. Gary Goodridge has been a world champion level arm wrestler and also a world champion MMA guy. So he knows about sports and he knows about PED usage also. Gary was openly talking about his PED usage. He said that he was using them because he wanted to be the biggest and the strongest version of himself. But later in the early 90s and also the mid 90s, when the drug testing started, he had to kind of change his ways. I don't know what he meant by that. Maybe he completely stopped. Maybe he stopped competing. I don't know exactly when he stopped competing. Or maybe he just turned the juice off during the competitions. These are just assumptions. But he did say that if you don't know how to arm wrestle, then PEDs are not going to help you. But if you do know how to arm wrestle, then according to Gary in his own words, of course it makes a man Superman, aggressive and better and stronger. Devon, on the other hand, did not admit to PED usage, maybe because he is still competing and he's kind of shy and careful to not talk about it. And in fact, if I think about it, if I remember correctly, Devon has never openly admitted to PED usage. Yes, we kind of knew what the pancakes meant, but that's what not Devon said initially. He truly genuinely meant to say pancakes, but we just assumed as arm wrestling fans that he's talking about PED usage. But I don't think he was. I think the closest that he came to admitting about PED usage was when he talked about the 2011 Richard Lupkis match that he had, which he won dominantly. It was not the Arm Wars match, but one other match, maybe it was before that. He wrote under that I was completely pancake-less back then. So which kind of makes it obvious that not saying this is not an argument to clear things out if Devon is using or not. Of course, everyone knows, but the fact that he has never admitted to it publicly. And once again, I'm not saying that he needs to do, but this is just an observation. Even in this video, he was talking about it as a performance tool. He said that there's performance enhancing medicine out there that absolutely works. Devon talked about the movie Icarus, then he talked about bigger, faster, stronger, and then Devon talked about enhanced games, which is a really interesting subject. So around January this year, Enhanced Games started promoting their trailer for the 2025 Enhanced Games. I saw it everywhere in the reels, I think in the ads as well. So they were going all out. Right now they have about 72,000 followers on Instagram. They have been on Joe Rogan's podcast. They have kind of collected and gathered the money, the sponsors, and Devon seems to be really interested about it. Devon is one athlete who has never talked shit about the Olympics, but many arm wrestlers who clearly are on PEDs, I've seen them talking like it doesn't matter if arm wrestling is involved in the Olympics or not. Olympics is a shitty place anyways, and we don't need Olympics. Arm wrestling in the professional way, which it has taken right now, is perfectly fine. We don't need to go that amateur way in which some other sports are trying to go. Well, obviously you're saying that because you are used to the guilds and you cannot compete even if arm wrestling was included in the Olympics. So you will feel left out. That's why it's a common trend. Like almost every juiced athlete, you can hear them saying that no, professional is the better way, we don't need Olympics. But Devon has never said that. Testing is important. Even playing field is important. Natural sports is sacred and it should be protected. So testing is important. But then I also think that it's also important that we open the doors a little bit to see what people are actually capable of. Devon ended his statement by saying that he likes both and both are important. The tested leagues and the non-tested leagues. But my question about this Enhanced Games is, we are certainly not going to see completely new athletes emerge out of nowhere. So if we clearly know that these are the top 20, top 30 guys competing right now, and we have seen them compete, out of those 20-30, there will be a new champion. Whether world records are going to be broken or not, that's a different subject. But he's not going to emerge out of nowhere. And I will guess if these games become big enough, then Olympics is going to ban someone who competes as these games. So how are we going to see new talent that we are being promised to see that is going to break the old world records? I just don't buy that idea, not as of now. And Devon mentioned that Marvin Cohen, who was involved in the Over the Top movie, and he has been involved in many hits and misses and also great successes in arm wrestling, such as one of the recent Mr. Olympia arm wrestling event where they promised it being on the television, but it wasn't. So he has been a hit and miss kind of guy. But according to Devon, he's trying to push arm wrestling into these Enhanced Games, and that's where maybe the new Olympics of arm wrestlers can start before the actual Olympics. What are your thoughts about this? Please mention in the comments, like the video and subscribe.